Ruslan.
Yeah, okay, so let's look at this Joe Budden thing, man. This is such a... I don't understand what's happening with this dude, because Joe Budden usually is reasonable, but for whatever reason, Joe Budden has just been going crazy at the homie Dee-1, okay? And I don't get it. I don't understand, okay? So we're going to look at this clip. Dee-1 posted it. Now, I'll give you guys some of my thoughts. But before we do that, guys, my name is Ruslan. This channel exists to encourage, empower, and inspire you to live a life that blesses God. If you are not new here, you've been watching for a while, hit that subscribe button. Even if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's check out this clip real quick. I got to give you guys a heads up.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Explicit, explicit,
explicit. I ain't saying his name no more because you's a nasty clout-chasing Christian.
Joe Budden is calling Dee-1 a clout chaser because Dee-1 called out some specific rappers that he believed were pushing poison to the community while simultaneously attempting to do community work, like giving out turkeys on Thanksgiving. Very Nino Brownish, right? And Dee-1 felt like he wanted to call it out. And then Joe Budden has been on his helmet about this entire situation. And of course, he doesn't want to have a conversation with Dee-1. He just wants to rant about Dee-1. And this is, I think, his third time mentioning Dee-1 on the podcast. And now he's not mentioning his name, but we all know who he's talking about. And so this is Dee-1 reacting to it. And I'm reacting to the reacting. It's like a content inception.
For real. That nigga's a nasty, clout-chasing Christian. And I don't give a fuck what y'all got to say about it either. That's just, that nigga's disgusting.
I don't understand how he's using the definition of clout chasing without lumping himself into the conversation. I think Joe Budden thinks that because he's an iconic rapper in his own right and he's done some things in the industry, that allows him to do the very exact same things that a Dee-1 does or any other content creator does, which is talk about artists and talk about trending events and talk about things that are happening. But because Joe Budden sees himself as an authority, it's an appeal to an authority fallacy. Because he sees himself as, oh, I've been around and I put out good mixtapes and I was, I had a #1 song that just went gold with Pump It Up, and I've had beef with Drake, and I've talked that because he's certified in his own mind that he's allowed to do the very same activities, clout-tivities, as my man China Mac would say. Yet, when Dee-1 calls out the hypocrisy of doing prison reform and yet making music that oftentimes does more harm than good, Dee-1 is a clout chaser, not understanding Dee-1's own background. Like, the dude's put out 10 albums, plus he's toured with some of the biggest names. He's a Harvard teacher. He's a professor at a different university. He's done a lot of community activist work. So it's like, you don't know his resume, and because you don't know his resume, therefore he's a clout chaser, but you're not. Oh, Joe, it's not making sense, my brother. It's not adding up. The math ain't mathing. Help me understand.
Oh, man. I'm sorry, yo. Do what you want. Name whoever you want to name. Name away. I'm sorry I ever caught wind of your Christian ass. You have been a real Christian fucking thorn in my side.
Now, the irony of using a quote from the Bible to attack a Christian is hilarious. You have been a thorn in my side, which is Paul. That's from Paul writing about the thorn in his flesh, right? That's where that, what is it called? A euphemism? That's where that comes from, right? Thorn in my flesh. And he's calling a Christian who's doing his best to live out the teachings of Paul, who called out people by name, by the way. Paul, in Galatians, talks about confronting Peter by name. Peter was the big homie. Peter was the big dog, right? And Paul calls him out and then writes about it in the book of Galatians, says he called him out to his face, Galatians chapter 1. So it's the level of irony on top of irony on top of irony is incredible on Joe Budden's part.
Ever since I got wind of whoever the fuck you are. And that is my problem with the internet. Yeah. I do my best to stay away from certain corners of the internet.
Oh, no, we're bringing it to you now, bud. You do your best to stay. No, well, don't speak on certain things and it won't be brought to you. You think you could speak any which way you want about anybody and you don't think people are going to have a problem with it? While you are at the same time talking about NBA YoungBoy's music is trash and then apologizing for it? You don't think other people are going to feel a certain way when you're talking about D1? We already view D1 as like protect D1 at all costs, right? One of the few people that's willing to step up and speak up and say the things that need to be said.
So I cannot know who any of you niggas are. And the second we talk about it for a second, here we go.
That's what Lupe just said.
Yeah, but go do something yourself. Lupe could say that. Lupe is him still.
No, I'm talking about Lupe saying your voice is that powerful that when you say some shit, it's going to ring out.
Yeah, but I can't even say what I want to say. Forget it. Forget it.
And
but that.
All right, man. I wish I had a donkey of the day or something to give this brother because that is he's been on a L streak, man. I used to like Joe Budden, but he's just been L after L after L. The only W he's caught lately is by roasting Drake, which I would argue is kind of clout chasing. I don't know. You going after the biggest rapper in the game, right? And forcing Drake to put out another rap album because his previous 4 albums have been hot garbage. So that's the latest W. That's the latest contribution I feel like Joe Budden has given us with regards to that. He's caught the L with letting Melissa Ford rant about Cameron and Mace, which potentially could turn into a lawsuit. He's caught the L with the NBA YoungBoy situation. He stays catching L's with the D1 situation. I don't know. I think somebody should go do a wellness check on Joe Budden. Someone should probably pull up, just make sure everything's okay. Make sure he's in his right frame of mind. Make sure he's solid, because I don't get it. I don't understand the hypocrisy. I don't understand the consistent irony of poking at D1. Leave D1 alone. Leave D1 alone, because you're starting to come off like Sleepy Joe. It's like, is there something going on cognitively? I don't know what's going on, but leave D1 alone. Right? And we all know you wouldn't be speaking about Muslims like this. We all know you wouldn't be speaking about other, right? We definitely wouldn't be speaking about the fruit of Islam like this. Right? And so leave him alone. He left you alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. What are we doing? Why are you poking at D1? Leave D1 alone. Let him do his thing, and you do your thing, right? And cool. I'm sure paths will cross, and I'm sure at some point you'll maybe have another Christian on. I mean, Tyrese had to check you about your you on your gospel-ish, right, when he went on there. And so I think all this stuff will work itself out. But I think the antagonizing is what bugs me. The antagonizing and the consistent clout chasing while calling out clout chasing is disgusting to me personally. I just find it gross. It's like, ugh, you built your career on talking about other people. And I guess you think it's okay because you have a platform. You had a platform as a rapper, but you don't rap anymore. And because you once upon a time rapped, then you're allowed to do that. But D1 isn't. That's very confusing to me. So anyway, those are my thoughts on that situation.
Look, sometimes people struggle with quiet time because you're like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, so I got this Bless God prayer journal. So look, they got a section. I got praise reports, things I'm grateful for, prayers for other people, personal prayers, memory verse, I will get this done today. Then my time in the Word showed me, and notes just for free thinking. This thing's mad helpful. Just writing down things that you're grateful for, just doing that consistently. That's another really good way to fight depression and anxiety, because it's I don't know if it's impossible, but it's really difficult to experience the feelings of depression and everything and truly be, genuinely grateful for something and dwelling on something that you're grateful for. This actually is really helpful for that as well.
All the challenges, despite all the loss, despite the trauma, despite the public issues, you're steadfast in professing it. But in your brokenness, you're professing Jesus. And that to me is extremely refreshing, because some people think they got to get cleaned up to follow Jesus. When you're like, I'm
messed up. I just didn't understand death. I could not process death, but I knew I was sad, and I knew at a young age I had to try and process that he's never coming home again. Was also, I've never said that publicly. I even wrote a book, which was a bio, and never even mentioned that in there. Wow. Because I just didn't have the audacity to do it. And I'm also a man who has seen and been exposed to and experienced every level of